Hello everyone, I'm Michael from Heavyweight Boxing, and today I'm looking at the Lomachenko vs Gervonta Davis fight. This fight's been spoken about quite a lot recently in the boxing community, and I think that's because obviously Tank has recently moved up to 135 pounds, which is the same weight as Lomachenko. And also before the Campbell fight, Lomachenko actually said that he wanted to fight Davis in the near future at 130. So overall, there's just been a lot of talk about the fight recently. So I thought I'd make a video talking about whether I believe the fight will happen, and if it does happen, what I think the result would be. So, do I think the fight will happen? Well, to make that decision, we've got to look at the two teams and decide whether either team actually wants the fight. Now, I think Lomachenko's team definitely want the fight. I think Lomachenko himself is very confident that he can beat Gervonta Tank Davis. That's why I think he's been calling him out for so long. And I think he wants to get the fight done and made while he's still in his physical prime rather than waiting until he's a bit older. But so Lomachenko, I'm sure, thinks he can win the fight. And also his team in Bob Arum, I think they're very confident that he can beat Davis as well. We know Bob Arum thinks very highly of Lomachenko, likening him to that of Muhammad Ali, which might be a bit of a stretch there. But anyway, it shows the confidence of their team. Also for Lomachenko, you've got to look at him in regards to the big fights coming up for him. And I'm sure he really wants the Davis fight, because after he unifies the lightweight division, which he'll be hoping to do once that he gets a shot at the IBF title, if he does unify the division, what does he do from there? Who does he fight from there? He knows he can't move up anymore. He says he can't do it. He can't give away that much height and reach advantage anymore, or any higher than what he's already done. So he'll be looking at the big fights that he can have near his weight, and one of those has got to be the Davis fight. So we'll see what happens there. But looking at Davis's team, do I think they want the fight? I think Davis for sure himself wants to fight. I think he's a proper fighter, proper boxer. He's been in a boxing ring since he was 5 years old, I think it is. And he'll definitely believe that he can beat Lomachenko. You've got to have that mentality to be a boxer in the first place. But does his team want the fight? I don't think so. Floyd Mayweather, his promoter, which I'm really talking about here, has said on many of occasions that they don't want, that he doesn't want Davis to fight Lomachenko anytime soon. They want to wait till Lomachenko's a bit older and his physical attributes start to deteriorate, and which obviously Lomachenko relies very heavily on, and then take the fight then, which I think is a bit of a shame. But we know how much Floyd Mayweather values the O in your record, being undefeated. And not just Mayweather, but the whole boxing community as a whole. You make a lot more money being undefeated than you do with a few losses in your record. So I think, I don't think he'll let his young protege into the ring anytime soon. So do I think the fight will happen anytime soon? No, not really. But maybe in the near future, or not near future, but maybe in the future when Lomachenko's a bit older. But just moving on from that, I'd like to ask the question to you guys of whether you believe this fight is a super fight. Because I want to decide whether I believe this in this video here. But let me know in the comments what you think. Is it a super fight? And when I say super fight, I'm talking about, AJ Wilder, that kind of level, or in an actual fight that has happened, more like Triple G versus Canelo, the first fight. For me, that was a proper super fight. Titles on the line, very difficult to call it. Real split camp. Some people saying Canelo, some Triple G, and overall just a really exciting fight. That's what I regard as a super fight. So let me know, do you think Loma versus Tank is a super fight? So I think it possibly, the points you could say for it being a super fight is the fact that they're both obviously huge names right now in this lightweight division, or whatever division you really want to say. As Lomachenko, they've both got very exciting records. Lomachenko's got it more for obviously his amateur record, which is ridiculous, and also his professional record, where I'm pretty sure every fight apart from his first fight has been for a world title, and obviously has taken on huge names, much bigger names than Davis, with the likes of Linares, Campbell, Rigondeaux, Gary Russell Jr. So Obviously, that's the reasons why Lomachenko is so big. And then Tank obviously brings a huge crowd of people because he's got a massive following as well. And is just a very exciting fighter with, that record of 22 fights and 21 knockouts, which is ridiculous to have that many knockouts at this weight, at lightweight. So, for both different kind of reasons, bring a huge, massive following to the fight, which is obviously one step towards having a super fight. Also, as well, I think there's like an exciting kind of backstory with the sense that they're both kind of they've been calling each other out for a while now. You've kind of got older versus the younger guy. And also as well, they've got that one common opponent in Pedraza, which has made it very interesting and swayed a lot of people's opinions on what they think will happen in the fight. Because Lomachenko, it was actually quite a difficult fight for Lomachenko. It's a fight he didn't look very... obviously, he won comfortably, as he usually does, but it was a fight that he definitely struggled with and didn't look his usual high-tech self in. But however, Tank was able to knock him out, I think, in the 7th round. So a very interesting one there, which adds to the kind of excitement for the fight. Also as well with Tank, he's got that link to Mayweather where he's like the next Mayweather kind of thing. And Lomachenko's obviously got the huge appeal of being top 3 pound for pound. So they're just almost superstars of the sport. So those are reasons it could be a super fight, but overall I think I can't. The reason the reason why I don't think it's a super fight, I think it's a huge fight but not a super fight, is the fact that I believe it's not too easy to predict, but I think people are not going to be as split on who they think will win the fight as they were with fights like Canelo and Golovkin. I think the majority, I'd say about 70% of people are going to go with Lomachenko to beat Davis in this fight if it was to happen right now. So for that reason, it just hasn't really got that super fight feel, because it's not like Wilder and AJ where really on each other's day the other guy could beat the other one, and it's just so difficult to call. Everyone's 50-50. But with this fight, I think if you were a betting man, you'd go with Lomachenko. So let me know, do you think it's a super fight? Maybe it is. But moving on now to the more exciting part of my prediction for what will happen in this fight. So assuming that this fight does take place, which I hope it does, I've got to go with Lomachenko beating Gervonta Tank Davis on points. And I'd probably even say fairly comfortably. I don't want to upset any Tank Davis fans, but I think that would be the case. Mate, I don't think he could get a late stoppage. We've seen Lomachenko do that with Linares and nearly did it with Campbell as well. He's just got the energy in the later rounds. But I'm pretty sure I'd go for a points decision. So just to talk about that, looking at Tank's main strengths. First of all, obviously we know he's obviously a great boxer. Again, like Lomachenko, he's got a great amateur pedigree. I think he's got something like 200, maybe 200 fights is completely wrong, but something, I think it's about 100 fights or something like that. Like a really good amateur pedigree. I remember looking it up the other day. So he's a great boxer, but obviously if you're going to ask the question of which boxer is better, you're going to go with Lomachenko. Technically, Lomachenko is just a better fighter than Tank, in my opinion. So Lomachenko beats him there if it turns out to be a technical fight. The second attribute I'd give to Tank, another strong attribute of Tank, is his speed. But we've seen Lomachenko, in my opinion, deal with quick fighters, sort of Gary Russell Jr., who's definitely a faster fighter than Lomachenko and Tank Davis. And we see that Lomachenko's timing is just ridiculous and was able to deal with Gary Russell very easily. Also as well, overall, I'd say Lomachenko's hand and foot speed is probably even quicker than Davis's. I can't really even give Davis that much on speed against Lomachenko anyway. But finally, the main strength of Tank Davis, and I think what mainly of the Tank Davis supporters talk about, is obviously Davis's power and his knockout ability. I think the main argument now is that people saw that Linares was able to knock Lomachenko down, and so Davis, if he was able to land a shot like that, would knock Lomachenko clean out, which I can understand. But also, you've got to remember a few things. That was only Lomachenko's first fight at that weight, at lightweight. So obviously he was adjusting to the weight, adjusting to the power of that of these kind of fighters. And we saw him in recently with Lomachenko, with Campbell, and many people say Campbell hits a lot harder than Linares, and at no point did Lomachenko look like he was going down. He obviously looked hurt, but it didn't look like he was going down. Obviously, I think Tank Davis has got more power than both those fighters. So yeah, there is the argument that if he can land that lucky punch, or land that punch, he can knock Lomachenko out. But I just think with Lomachenko, that's just not going to happen. That's just my view. Also as well, for Lomachenko, the fighters he does struggle with are not necessarily the best technical fighters, but actually rangy and taller opponents. We've seen that now with Luke Campbell and Pedraza. But Gervonta Tank Davis is not one of those fighters. He's actually, I think, even smaller than Lomachenko, which will favour Lomachenko because he can rely more on his technical boxing skills and not worry too much with having to cut down the range and get on the inside. So that's my overall opinion on what I think will happen. Let me know if you think the fight will happen. Let me know if you think it's a super fight. And let me know if you think Lomachenko or Davis is going to win that fight if it does happen. Please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.